Wide receiver, 27-year-old wide receiver for the New York Giants, Darius Slayton, said Thursday that he was tired of the negative narrative surrounding Daniel Jones. Now, obviously, it's New York media, criticism is high. But he's tired of that narrative by saying that there's a double standard when it comes to Daniel Jones and other quarterbacks, and this was his full quote. I think because we play in prime time a lot, we're media covered a lot. We're the Giants. If we were the Jaguars, you don't hear anybody say anything about Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert for that matter. Matter of fact, if you ask most people about Justin Herbert, they probably tell you that he's a top 5 quarterback, but under what logic? Can you really make the case for that he's a top 5 quarterback? You just believe he's capable of that because you see the big arm, basically that he's big, he's tall, he's a rocket of an arm. You assume his processing is good. You assume he's smart and all of these things. You don't actually know, though. And that's on top of the fact that Sauce Gardner was asked about Daniel Jones. It was a very long pause. And then he said, he's a good quarterback. But really nothing besides that. And that kind of, went around social media. So I want to know, do you think Darius Slayton has a point that there's a double standard between Daniel Jones and some of these quarterbacks that are being considered top 10 like Justin Herbert?
Well, I think he does have a point about the media fishbowl and New York. New York is the biggest media outlet, has the most sports casters and analysts anywhere in the country. So, if you're you win in New York, you're enshrined, and if you struggle, you are lambasted and at an extraordinary level. And that's what's happened to Daniel Jones. He's been lambasted at an extraordinary level, and in most cases, I'd say rightfully so. But it does get more criticism than someone like Derek Carr gets down in New Orleans, although Derek Carr has been getting some criticism because he hasn't been playing all that well. But I think Darius Slayton, he ought to look at some of the stats when you compare Daniel Jones to Justin Herbert last. Daniel Jones' best year, 3,200 yards passing. Justin Herbert, 4,300 yards, not too shabby. And I think Justin Herbert, just as Darius Slayton says, he's got the big arm. He's big. He's tall. He has a rocket arm. I think he's pretty smart out there. He says, you don't actually know? Well, I do actually know. I look at his stats, and they say, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And he's making a lot more money than Daniel Jones, who's making got a contract for $160 million. Justin Herbert got one for over $200 million. So, I think there's night and day between those two guys. I would think I would take Justin Herbert every day of the week. I admire Darius Slayton a little bit for standing up for his quarterback. He says it's easy to say negative things once there is a negative narrative around a person. In this case, it doesn't make it true. Nor does he see him as nor does anyone really see him on a day-to-day basis when we're in the preseason. So we'll see how Daniel Jones does. He doesn't look good in the preseason. They came out there, threw a couple of interceptions in the last game. One, he should have just thrown the ball away before he was going to take a safety. Threw it right to the defensive guy for a pick six. So it looked like more of the same so far in the preseason here. It's nice that you got players that will stand up for you, Daniel, but you got to step out onto the field and show that you can do it, or you'll be lambasted in an extraordinary way because this is New York.
Well, I'll say that the fact that one quarterback, his best season is 1,800-yard difference, not exactly, one's getting bashed more than the other, but they're the same type of quarterback, because that's not the case at all. Justin Herbert is far and away the best quarterback if you compare him and Daniel Jones, and it isn't even close. There's a reason why Justin Herbert is considered a top 10 quarterback, because he is. When he's out there and he's not completely banged up or dealing with a pretty decent injury that knocked him out the rest of the season, he's a very, very good quarterback. So let's jump into the career numbers. How Justin Herbert has done since 2020. This is with minimum 35 games started. Let's take a look at the numbers, shall we? He's tied for 11th in completion percentage, 3rd in passing yards a game, 4th in passing touchdowns, 13th in passer rating, TD interception ratio. He's 7th, and he has 14 game-winning drives. Yes, well, some of those bad numbers, like 13th and tied for 11th, might seem like, oh, not top 10 numbers. Well, that completion percentage is higher than some great quarterbacks that I think a lot of people would say are definite top 10 and maybe even above Justin Herbert. Think about that. That's 66.6, which he's tied for 11th in, is higher than Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. Passing yards. Only Mahomes and Tom Brady, who's been retired now for 2 seasons, have more passing yards a game than Justin Herbert in the same time frame. Passing touchdowns. He has more than Dak, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts, and Trevor Lawrence. How about passer rating? Higher than Lamar, Goff, Hurts, and Lawrence. Game-winning drives. Only Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins have more. Those 2 quarterbacks have 15. Justin Herbert has 14. Fourth quarter comebacks. He's second. Now, I don't have it here on the stat sheet, but Justin Herbert is second. Only Kirk Cousins has more. Kirk Cousins has 12. Justin Herbert has 11. The main problem why we don't see more success from the Los Angeles Chargers is not due to a lack of success offensively. It's due to the horrible coaching and performance of the defense. Would you believe that the Chargers have the most points scored in the first 3 years of Justin Herbert's career since the merger? That's phenomenal. It's an NFL record since the merger. What about defensively? They have given up the most points in the first 3 years of Justin Herbert's career since the merger. So much so, they're a net minus 23 points. They've given up 23 more points than scored. That's horrible. Anthony Lynn, not a great head coach. Brandon Staley should have been fired 2 years ago. Now they got Jim Harbaugh. We're going to see a different Chargers team this year. And that honestly, and it really, really sucks that it came down to this year. When you lost your running back, you lost your 2 top receivers, your 2 receivers, and Quentin Johnston, who has a drop problem and who isn't so far a good receiver or even close to being a good receiver, he's going to be, I believe, your wide receiver 1. That's my only concern. You lost your starting running back, you lost your top 2 receivers, and I believe you also lost your tight end. Your offense lost a lot of pieces, and you have a very expensive defense.
Mm-hmm. So you got a great coach now, though. I think that helps a lot.
You have a coach that has won every single place.
And you have a potentially great quarterback. I think he's proven that he can do it. So, they have the wide receiver that they drafted last year who had a tough start. Maybe he'll play better this year.
Based on what I've seen in training camp, some of the footage, it looks a lot like the same. Drop problems, not great. So that's my only concern. But I do think that with Gus Edwards, I think J.K. Dobbins is also on the team, it'll be more of a ground and pound type offense, which is kind of what Jim Harbaugh did splendidly with Michigan. So my guess would be it will be just pound the ball, keep it going. And by the way, Quentin Johnston, by the way, is 4th on the wide receiver depth chart. 4th. You got Joshua Palmer, Ladd McConkey, and DJ Chark.
That's a pretty unexperienced wide receiver core. That's going to be...
Palmer's been there. McConkey, I believe, is a rookie. Chark's been around. Quentin Johnston, though, to be downgraded from a first-round pick to now being 4th on the depth chart. You also have Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice. I don't know if he'll exactly be out there slinging it. He was a late-round draft pick. Your offensive line, though, you got Joe Alt. A lot of people thought you'd go receiver there because you desperately need a receiver. But Joe Alt seems to be very, very good. Run blocking could be a little bit better. But overall, the Chargers should be a pretty decent team this year. I think they will make the playoffs. But I think overall, to say that it's a double standard, Justin Herbert plays in L.A.
It's a pretty big market.
He doesn't get criticized this heavily because we all understand the context of what's going on in LA.
He plays better. He plays decent. He has some exciting games. He has some winning drives.
Yeah.
He doesn't make huge mistakes in big moments. Those are the things that make people like him. Make them say good things about him instead of lambasting him like they do Daniel Jones for throwing interceptions, for losing games that he should win.
There's not many of those because think about it, expectations is a big deterrent of how disappointed you'll be. If you have no expectations, then you like, for instance, if the Panthers go out and win 6-7 games, it's like, oh my God, look at this team's bounce back. We were stunned by the Houston Texans who went 3-13-1 when they won 10 games, just because you went from 3-13-1 to 10-7. If the Panthers go from 2-15 to 7-10, it's like, okay, this team's in the right direction. We were stunned last year. I think some of the context is that Justin Herbert ended up getting hurt.
Yeah, well,
but the Chargers were terrible.
I think
they were 5-12. I think
Daniel Jones is done if they don't have a winning record, and I think there's chances of that are very slim. So I think this is his last year in the Giants uniform.
There's a reason why one guy got paid $40 million is going to get released this year after 2 years. One's getting paid, I think, $52.5 million or $52.1 million per year, and is still considered a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Performance.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, oh yeah, you're in New York, he plays for the Los Angeles Chargers. He plays in LA. LA is arguably a bigger sports media market, just based on recent success. You compare New York to LA and look at the difference success level. You could argue that LA is a bigger sports media market than New York is right now. So if you want to bring that argument, you could say, well, Justin Herbert, shouldn't he get criticized more? He's in a bigger market.
Not when he plays well. People enshrine you when you play well in a big media market.
Yeah. I mean, some markets that are relatively small, like Chicago, some fans, as long as you're exciting, fight to the death for you. People still want Justin Fields on the Bears. They're still fighting that maybe Caleb Williams isn't, the right quarterback and Justin Fields should still be there. I'm sure some people in our comment section still believe that, based on some of the responses we've gotten. So, overall, bad take. I understand you're the teammate, but you don't need to bring it to this level of, oh yeah, Justin Herbert, he should get criticized more. We're assuming that he's a top 10 quarterback, but as he proved, no, he has, based on his performance.
He wants a lot of balls thrown his way, and so he's cozying up to Daniel Jones, hoping he'll get a lot of passes.
There's not many quarterbacks. There's not many quarterbacks that can go toe-to-toe. Now, albeit, winning them is different because they've had some very, very unfortunate outcomes in the Mahomes-Herbert games, but they're always close. There's not many times Mahomes just shuts down Herbert.
Yeah.
Normally, they're close. The first game of Herbert's career, he was not supposed to be in. He came in, went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. Daniel Jones can't do that. So,
has never done it. No, not yet.
Will he?
Doubtful.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.